As a short introduction, Vilva is a full stack JavaScript developer, and he is currently working in Berlin. Uh, Apart from his coding, the expertise that he holds in coding and things that he likes to do and the things that he likes to build, he has a few other indulgences as well. So he is also a seasonal blogger and a YouTuber. He tries to teach people things in technology using his YouTube channel. He is also a traveler. He's traveled to not states but countries. Can you imagine that? I think it's what how many countries have you gone to so far?
9 countries so far.
9 countries, and he's waiting to get to 15, I suppose, for your international flower, right? Which is a very interesting concept, so I'll let you tell him all about it. Anyway, so Vilva, I think I'll leave the stage to you, and all the best. Take it away.
Sure, thank you. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, guys, and or maybe good afternoon there. And today we'll be speaking about reusable animations in React and React Native. Already, Digvijay has given some introduction about me, and to add few things like, yeah, I work at Omio in Berlin. I'm more interested in open source. I'm a creator of few libraries, plugins, VS Code extensions, and storybooks, add-ons stuff. A few of my favorite ones are Tailwind and SQL Tag. In every social platform, you can find me with the name Vilva Athiban. And like Digvijay said, I can maybe give some idea about my international flower thing. So what I'm doing is every new country I visit, I collect some sand from the country, and I'm collecting the sand. When I reach a benchmark of 15 countries, I'll be planting a flower plant with all the sand together, of course, with some manuals. And the flower which comes will be a international flower because it's from different soils. So that's what he was meaning when he was giving an introduction about me. Cool. With further no delays, let's get into today's topic. Okay, React Native. Why people use React Native? The major reason people started using React Native was code reusability. Instead of building a same app in iOS and in Android and having two teams maintaining things, that too mainly for a small startup or like early stage startup, it's really going to be hard. Whereas React Native gives us a flexibility of writing one code and then using it in both the platforms, both React, both iOS as well as Android. And one more benefit of using React Native is a React developer who works on web can be quickly productive with React Native. He don't need a lot of trainings. He just have to know some basics, maybe read through the docs quickly once, and then he is already able to create production grade applications in React. These are the main reasons people use React Native, and this is why it got famous. So but there is one small problem here. So though we use React Native and it is very similar to React, what happens here is even today most code we write is different for web and different for the native apps. That is the React Native apps. So though it looks like same, it's kind of different because we maintain two different code base. One works for a website and other works for mobile apps. Though it is React end of the day, and it's going to share a lot of common logics and common business goals and stuff. This is something which can be solved using the current ecosystem, and there are few companies which are solving it, but majorly people keep it separate. So let's get into the like now we know why we need React Native, and we know how they are being used right now and how it's not. It doesn't coexist with React, though it has the capacity to. And let's get into the crux of the topic, that is animations in React Native. So, how animation happens in React Native? For instance, we write code in JavaScript, and React Native compiles this code into native counterparts. That is, it either converts it into iOS or converts it into Android. And when we write animations, say we write a JavaScript animation, Again, it is written on the JavaScript side within React Native. How does it get converted into the native animations? Because end of the day, everything that works in a mobile app will be or should be native. So that's what we are trying to look into it. So these animations written in JavaScript, they get executed, and during every request animation frame, this particular animation details is being pushed to the native side. Like the JavaScript thread, it waits for all the or for every React request animation frame execution. It waits for the change. Maybe you are changing the opacity, or you are changing the size. You are zooming in. You can do anything on the objects, but based on your action, it collects all the changes which is happening to the particular element on the JavaScript side and pushes this changes to the native side, that is to iOS or Android. This iOS or Android code consumes the changes and implements it on the native side. That's how we see the animations once everything is done. All this process is done. This has some problems. There can be generally people complain the animations are pain in React Native. To some extent, I had agree because implementing is not very easy. Like in CSS, you write a keyframe and then already it is animating in the web. So it's not very straightforward in React Native. And also, this latest versions are a bit better, but the older versions are very awful in React because JS is single threaded and there is only one bridge connecting JavaScript to the native. So when the bridge is already full, say it is doing some other activities, when it's doing animations also, it can do some other heavy activities. And when it does the other heavy activities, there will be a fight between animations and the heavy activity to go in, and the animations has to have to wait, and the overall experience for the user looks laggy. Like the animation looks laggy. Our end goal of using animations is just to make sure the user feels better and the UX user experience is good. But this particular lag destroys the whole motive of having an animation itself. Sorry. So that is what is happening. That those are the existing problems in React Native animation. So you should be very clever and you should know when to use what and when to update the React state and when to update the DOM or the native things directly. We also have some solutions for it, like we can use native drivers. So JavaScript once creates the collects the details for animation, it hands over the execution of animation to the native side, and it relaxes. So even if there is a huge load on the bridge connecting React Native to native, it's not going to hang or lag because currently the animations are handled by the native counterpart of the application. But we have a problem in it. The problem there is JavaScript loses complete control of the animation once we start using native driver. So everything comes with pros and cons. That's with how animations work with React Native. So we also discussed some problems of it. One more problem, the common problem which we discussed already is most of the companies or most of the products have a very resembling or very similar approach to mobile web as well as mobile app, but they had to maintain two different code base because mobile app is in React Native, mobile web is in React, and animations again. If the application is a bit animation heavy, then there is no way the code could be reused between both the platforms. The main reason stays like the APIs, which the underlying APIs which work on animations are completely different. We can just write a CSS class and animate it for the web, whereas we need to use external libraries, or we used to use the animated dot components, animated API of React Native to animate. So it's both two different worlds, and reusing it is bit complicated, or it's bit hard until we have some solution for it. And the solution is nothing but React Spring. Yeah, we also have some other solutions of reusing things. Yeah, if you're creative and if you're clever, you can find even more things in future. But the major solution we are going to see about is React Spring. What this React Spring library does is it's just an animation library. So, as per the books, React Spring is a Spring physics based animation library. It's not our regular animations where we define some time and we define some curves. Like it doesn't go as a traditional animation we create. But React Spring works more like a real time use case. It can end animations in the middle, start new ones. So it gives you so much control over the animations, and it also gives you so much comfort and smoothness in using the animation. This library majorly works for web, and it was initially created for web, but later they created modules for other platforms as well. It's a completely cross-functional animation library. So that means React Spring works both for web as well as they have a module which works for React Native. So we will be seeing how to leverage this module of React and React Spring and React Spring Native for our benefits, and just write single code for reusing animations. So what the major benefit of React Native was write one code and deploy it for two platforms. But with all the things we are going to do right now, we are going to achieve something like write one code, deploy it for three platforms. That is your web, your iOS, and your Android platform. Cool. We have seen so much of talking already. Let's go and check out some code. Let's actually do some coding. Let's live code. Okay. So if you see here, I have some setup done already. What the setup is, it's very simple setup. I just initiated an application with Expo, and I initiated an application with Create React App. I moved the public folder of Create React App here, and I added the scripts and dependencies from Create React App into the Expo library, like Expo project. That's what I have done. And the major nuances we are going to work on, or we are going to rely on, is that I guess my screen is okay. If it needs some zoom in, zoom out, just let me know in comments. So what I was coming to tell is the major factor we are going to rely upon is uh, when you run the same piece of code in native or in React. React always looks for a file with .js extension, but React Native gives us a leverage. If there is no file with .native.js extension, it takes the file with JS extension. But when there is a file with .native.js extension, it always prefers that file over .js file. So when we create same component with two different names, that is app.js, app.native.js, app.js will be used by my web platform, whereas app.native.js will be used by my React Native platform. If you see here, there is no much difference between this code base. I just have a small div with a margin just to make sure it doesn't stick over to the top, and I have a p tag which has React Spring animation. And same here, I have a view within which I have a text which tells React Spring animation. Nothing major or nothing special about it. But here, though we have both the code base within the same folder or same code base, we are really not reusing it across platforms. So what we will do right now, we will leverage this. If you see this, both the components are almost same. Like it has everything same except the fact that it is using div and p uh, for React and view and text for React Native. So what we could potentially do, we could leverage this fact of app.js and app.native.js is used by React and React Native respectively. And then we can create two components. One, I'll create a box component. So what it will have, it will just import box from box, which I'll be creating, and export default box. And I'll be creating two files, box.js and box.native.js. In native, I'll import from React Native. I'll import view from React Native and export it. And in JavaScript or in the web version of the file, I'll just export div. Similarly, I'll create one for my p tag as well. So I'll rename this to text and export p here. And I'll rename this to text.native and export text here. And in index, okay, it changed automatically. I don't have to necessarily change it, but still I'm doing it because I care about code quality. Cool. So right now I created a box component and a text component, and this box component will give me a div for web and view for React Native, and text component will give me a p tag for web and text for React Native. Now everything is being set already. I'll just close this files. Yeah. Now you can see the magic. Since everything is same, I don't have to have two versions of my app component now. I can go ahead, delete my app.native. Of course, my app will crash, but will come back again. And instead of div, I will use box. Box copy. And instead of p, I will use text. Now I have written only one code base. That is my app.js. It works for my web. You can already see it. And then I'm refreshing here. You can also see it in my React Native application. So one code works both on React and React Native. Okay, cool. That's cool. Now components are working. But what about animations? Because React Spring also has two libraries. One is React Spring, which is for web, and other is React Spring / native, which is for React Native. So we can use the same logic and leverage the concept of app.js and app.native.js for React Spring as well, and create our own animated our own functions of React Spring. So what I'll do, I'll create something called animated, within which I'll create the same type of things. Index.js. For now, I'll not add anything to index.js. Next, I'll create animated.js and animated.native.js. In animated.js, what I will do, I'll export things from React Spring. So for my web, things comes from React Spring. Whereas, and the things I'll be exporting is, the things I want to export are use Spring. You have so many things, you can export whatever you want to use. Sometimes you can even use export star, but I need only two things for this demo purpose. So I'm exporting use Spring function and animated thing from React Spring. And in animated.native, I'll be exporting the same things, but instead of React Spring, I'll export it from React Spring native. So how this is going to help me? When I import use Spring and animated from this component or from this folder, for my web, I will get it from the web module, and for my React Native, I'll get it from my React Native module. Using this, we can write animation only once, but it will work both in web as well as in React Native. So any changes you have to do in future, you just have to do it only once, and it is going to reflect in all the platforms. We'll see how to do it. Before doing it, we'll just import from animator. We'll import use Spring and animator and export it. Or we can actually export it directly. Cool. Now we are done with our animated component. Let's go and implement animations actually. So what I'll do right now, instead of importing the use Spring and animated from React Spring, I'll import it from our animated component. So from here, I'll import use Spring and animate. And right now, I'm just going to follow. After this, there is no special setup. It's just minimal animations written using React Spring. So first, I'll create something called. I'll just animate the text because that's the only thing I have. So I'll create something called animated text, which is nothing but wrapped text component. I wrap my text component with the animated function, and I will replace text with animated text. So now we made sure that this text component is possibly it can be animated using React Spring. This step tells React Spring that this is a component you have a control of and you can animate it. And now the next step for us to do is create animation itself. For that, we will use Spring. And within Spring is more similar to our keyframe animations. You can pass many factors. Right now, I'll be using the minimal requirement, which is like from and to. So inside, I'll pass an object which will have to, and maybe in to, I will first I'll go for from. From maybe I'll keep my font size as 10 to start with, and margin as 0. And into I will increase my font size to 50 and maybe margin as 100, which is my current value. And maybe I'll just make this as margin top 50 so you can see the animations, but the margin is going to get applied here. Okay, now what we have done, we have made our component to be eligible for animation. We have created our animation. Next thing is to pass this as style prop. Style equal to just structure styles. You see that maybe it's lagging in video recording, but if you see on refresh, it is animating for me web. And let's go for our React Native and refresh. You saw that it is animating for React Native as well. But we wrote animation only once. Now say if I don't want my margin to increase, I just want my font size to increase, I'll just remove it only once. And if you see, only my font size is increasing. My margin is not increasing. Same here. You can see only my font size getting increased. This way, we can reuse animations across web, Android, and iOS. Cool. So that's what a small technique. This is a very simple thing to use and to build and to maintain, but it can result in magic when it comes to bigger applications or maintaining, scaling your products. So this is the thing I wanted to share with the world, and with this, I'm done.